I'm out here today in Conroe, construction supervision. If you see here, the septic system was installed this week. So I came here to check on this system. See, one of the most important things I've said in so many of my videos, one of the most important things when buying land is to find out what kind of septic system can hold that land, especially when it comes to residential land. One of the most important things to do is what we call a percolation test, a PEG test. A PEG test is done to determine the water absorption level of the soil. Based on the soil type, you will now decipher what kind of septic system to hold. Because, like for example, in this property, it has what we call a brown, sandy, silty clay soil, which means that it is a combination of clay, a combination of sand, and a combination of silt, which makes the soil less permeable, which means that the soil will have a difficult time to absorb the waste that is coming from the house. So for that reason, we had to install an aerobic system here. So this system you are seeing here, this system here, is what we call an aerobic system. This is the more reason why we could not build two properties on this land. Because of the soil type, the waste that's coming from this house was going to take a long time to dissolve, and that poses a problem. That's why sometimes when you're inside the house, some smell from the septic coming back from the house is because the proper septic was not installed. So this system here is what we call an aerobic system. An aerobic system is good in a couple of things. Number one, it provides for extra oxygen that flows into the septic, and that helps for a faster breakdown of the substance that comes in from the house into the septic system. Number two, the water, because the aerobic system, you see here, it has filters here. This filter here, what it does, it can filter the water that is coming from the house, and you can still use that water maybe for an irrigation, or you can use it as your sprinkler system. That's another advantage of an aerobic system. The disadvantage of an aerobic system is that, number one, it is expensive. Number two, it requires vast amount of space, as you can see here. This is all the aerobic system. See here, you see these pipes?
Yeah.
You see these pipes here?
Yeah.
These are all part of the aerobic system. And you see here, if you see here, these pipes here, these are all part of the aerobic system. They are all coming from the septic system there. And when I say one of the disadvantages about an aerobic system is the vast amount of land. You see this land? This land here was supposed to build a second home. But when the county came here, they said, no, you guys cannot build a second home here. Because this space was going to take the entire septic system. So if you see here, look at this is a system still coming. We're still going. This is the septic here. We're still going. We're still going. We're still going. You see the septic? So our initial thought was that we're going to build two houses here. But see, because of the soil type, we could not build two houses, just one house. So this entire space, 618, the septic system has absorbed this entire space. You see that? If you look here, bring the camera here, bring the camera. Let me show you. Bring the camera here. If you see here, let me show you how far these cables are going. Bring it here. You see this cable? That's the cable right there. Point the cable, point to the cable. You see that cable there? Yeah. Right there. Come here, you see here? That's the cable, right here.
Yeah.
Come here. More here. That is it. We're still going. That's an aerobic system for you. That is it. That's an aerobic system. That is it there. That's it. That's a system. It's still going. So you can see this entire land, we're using it for the septic system. That's why we say project managers who understand construction, who understand the technical considerations, they are very, very important. Because if I was part of this land, when they were buying this land, the first thing I would have recommended was that let's do a percolation test. After the percolation test, we would have determined that this sand here, this soil here, a combination of clay, silt, and sand, would have known that it's impossible to build 2 houses here. That's why the city approved us to build 2 homes, but the county said no, you cannot build 2 homes, because the county is the one who's responsible for the sewage. The county said, oh no, this entire land will take just the septic. So we end up with 1 house and a septic instead of 2 homes. That's why due diligence is important. Have a team that can protect your pocket. A team that can bring you the knowledge. It's not just about building a home. It's about doing it right. Quality assurance mixed with technical knowledge is what will guarantee you a return on your investment. This is how we do it at C2C Mentors. No one does it better. Boom!